So, believe it or not, we're reaching the end of our time together, sadly. And so it's time for me to start to talk about our very final assignment for the class, which is our final exam. So first of all, why are we having a final? I think for a class like this, a final exam can be a really important culminating exercise. We've covered an awful lot of ground in this class, and the topics that we've covered have not just been randomly chosen from the tapestry of history. We've been telling a story together, and so I think that the final exam is your opportunity to try to pull all the threads together and weave yourself a narrative that you can take with you as you go forward. For this reason, the final exam is cumulative. I want us to form really big pictures and really broad connections across our course material. In order to accomplish that, the final exam is going to have 4 parts. So 3 of these are familiar. They were exactly the same as the midterm. And then there will be a 4th additional part, which is kind of a new experiment this year. We'll see how it goes. So the first part is identification questions, same as the midterm. You'll provide a definition of a term, explain when that term was relevant in economic history, and why it's relevant to economic history, why we studied it in the first place. Just like on the midterm, you will have some choice and there will be word limits. Part 2, again, will be short answer, focusing on material from the problem sets, all 4 of them, and it will ask you to make connections among those problem sets and maybe some additional course material as well. Part 3 will be an essay. It may be a little bit longer than what you've had on the midterm, but it will still be one essay, and it's going to be a really broad question. And then finally, the last part will be a new part I'm trying out with you guys, which is called the storytelling question. So just a little bit about the procedures. I'm going to post the exam at noon on Wednesday, December 9th, and you'll have 24 hours to complete it. So you'll turn it in on Thursday, December 10th by noon Eastern time. You'll have that whole 24-hour period to work on it, as much as you want, but I'm writing an exam that should only take about 2 to 3 hours. Also, just like the midterm, the final exam will be open book, open note, and open panopto, just not open person, okay? No collaboration. Okay, once parts 1 through 3 are posted, I will only answer English language questions about the exam. Part 4, the storytelling assignment, I'm actually going to tell you all about now. You can complete it really anytime, but it's due when the final exam is due on Thursday, December 10th at noon. So first, let me just remind you how to prepare for parts 1 to 3. So these will very closely resemble the midterm, but they're going to be a little bit longer since we have more to cover. Our sections in week 12 will be also review for this final exam. Bring your questions. So what I want you to do to try to prepare for when the exam is posted is go back over all of the modules and try to ask yourself, what was the main idea of each of these modules? So think broadly. Why do we cover each of the modules? What was the main punchline? And also take like a broader view. Why are the modules in the order that they are? What's a story that you can tell connecting the modules? And then at that point, I think it's good to look within the modules and try to remember what was the main point of each of the lectures. And then again, you can start to dig into the micro characteristics of each of those lectures after that. Similarly to the midterm, I think you could come up with a relatively finite list of potential ID questions. Think about terms that, I might reasonably choose. What do you think would make a good ID? And try to answer them just as practice, at least outline them to make sure that you can pull some of the important threads. I think it's also a reasonable and really fun thing to do at this point to try to think about what would be a good essay question and how you could outline and answer a question like that. This is a really great opportunity, I think, to study for this final, to try to zoom out and tell the broad stories of the class. Start to synthesize on your own so that when the final is actually posted, you're not just grasping at straws, right? You want to have some of this at your fingertips ready to go. Okay, so the new part of the final that I'm trying out this year, because, we've been through a lot together, is this storytelling assignment. This is for fun. This is for you. The idea of this is I want you to tell your favorite economic story or stories from the class, basically using whatever format you want. within reason. So some examples of this would be like, you can just write it down. You can just write an essay with a 500 word maximum. And you don't have to get to 500 words. That's just to honestly, try to give you some freedom, okay? You can write a piece of narrative nonfiction. You can make a YouTube video. You can make a Panopto presentation video. You could record yourself giving an audio narration of your story. I mean, or you could go wild. You could give me poems or songs. You could give me a collection of memes. I don't know. If it's not listed here and you have some idea for a format for this, just make a proposal to me and I'll tell you if it's reasonable. In very special circumstances, I might allow group work, but you have to make a proposal to me that would justify needing a group. Okay, so I would need to know that ahead of time. I don't want any surprise groups when this is turned in. Probably the most important rule, guys, you can do whatever you want, just don't get me in trouble. Okay, I don't want this ending up in the campus newspaper. All right, so aim for PG ratings. Humor is often a moment where you might end up in a politically incorrect territory. That's usually a moment of danger. If you don't know if something is politically incorrect, you could ask me, okay? Please don't post anything publicly before you ask me. Basically, if you have any question about whether you might be crossing a line, just ask me and I'll gladly tell you, okay? That's really the most important rule. But otherwise, I want you to just have fun. This is not a high pressure thing. It's going to be worth 15 points out of roughly 135 total points for the final. I plan to give full credit to answers that have some effort to them and are accurate. Okay, you can't put things that are wrong in your storytelling assignment. But other than that, I really plan on being generous in the grading. So the punchline really, right, is this is for fun. This is for joy, not stress. If you're crunched on time or you're out of creative energy, I'm fine with that. Just write the essay. Make the best of it you can. Practice the storytelling just in the format that I think works easiest for you. Okay, don't let this be something that stresses you out. And just procedurally, you will see a separate Canvas assignment for turning in the storytelling assignment. And actually, I've already activated it. It's already posted, so you can take a look at that. Okay, so that should pretty much do it. If you have any other questions about the final exam, please let me know.